I had an epiphany, like just 10 minutes ago when I was walking around outside collecting snacks like a fiend. I had this epiphany that, okay, objects in motion stay in motion, right? I always come back to these laws of physics. I don't know why, but objects in motion stay in motion and every action has an equal and opposite reaction. And the only thing that is constant is change. Basically, change is inevitable, it's guaranteed, right? So if you take the law of physics that change is guaranteed, then that means that whenever you find yourself in a rut, or whenever humans like to say we're stuck, all it takes is a matter of a perspective shift. What if you didn't think about it as if you were stuck, but what if you saw it for what it really was in physics terms, which is that you are the one keeping yourself stuck, because there's no possible way that you could be stuck by yourself if you were moving around in an organic manner, the way that just most objects or planets move in the solar system. Okay, I don't know if this is making sense. Let's say that these are two planets, right? My tier foundations that I think are super overhyped. So we are in outer space. Let's say that this one is the sun, and then we have the Earth. Or let's say Mars, because I don't know, Mars is the red planet and this is a red compact. So Mars is like rotating around the sun, right? Because of the gravitational pull. And that is the natural state of things. It's always moving. And the sun is always moving too. So it's like, I don't know if I can do this, if I can simulate this with my hands, but in reality, like we're all of the heavenly bodies are moving. Like the sun, our entire galaxy is floating through space. And then within that galaxy, we have like the rotations of the planets around the sun. But okay, I'm just gonna do it the simplistic way where the sun stays in place and then the planet is like rotating around it. Yeah, you get the gist. So if this is the natural state of things, that means that we as humans as well, because we're all stardust, we are all made of stardust at the end of the day. We're made of the same material as planets, right? Meaning that our natural state is also to keep moving, keep changing constantly throughout our life, which means that if you feel stuck or if you feel like you're in a rut, that's not something outside of your control, if that makes sense. You think that it's out of your control. You think that you're just helpless and the man has you down, the system has you down, and it just has you stuck in this stagnant position. When in reality, all you have to do is flip the switch in your perspective and think of it in terms of if you were a heavenly body rotating around the sun, if you were a planet rotating around the sun, in order for a planet to like all of a sudden stop and halt in its rotation and just stay in one place, that actually requires a lot of energy. Like hypothetically speaking, I don't know if this is even possible, but let's say that a planet that is in rotation all of a sudden stops, right? That would mean that some outside force would have to be large enough and exerting like in the opposite direction of the planet in order to stop it in its tracks, which means that it's not stuck in the sense that it's just helpless and that's just its natural state. It's not. Something is holding it there because the natural state is for the planet to be moving and rotating. And even for the sun, the entire galaxy to be moving and floating through space. So that means if you feel stuck, then you or somebody outside of you, there are certain cases where it's literally like an outside force or a person keeping you stuck. But that's the point. Something is keeping you stuck. It's not you being stuck because that's your default state. That's not your default state. Your default state is to move and take action and float through life just the way that a planet would float through the solar system.
So I just want to clarify, I'm not saying that things will automatically be easy or fix themselves in the blink of an eye if you think of it this way, but I'm just saying the perspective shift alone to, okay, something is holding me in place, so I just need to figure out what that thing is and get it out of the way. Get out the way. As opposed to just imagining yourself literally stuck in a ditch somewhere and you're just helpless and incapacitated, you know? Like you somehow need this huge surge of energy or some force, like an excess of fuel to rev up the engine again so that you can launch yourself out of there. Changing your perception from that to, hey, something is in my way, something is holding me down, and I just need to rid myself of this annoying pest or issue or whatever so that I can go ahead on my merry way on my rotation around the sun. I find that to be a very mentally freeing way of looking at it. And oftentimes it is yourself or your own limiting beliefs or ego, whatever, that's holding yourself back. But even if it is an outside force, if it's something more complicated like a partner, or I don't know, you're stuck at some institution, you still need to simply figure out how to remove that problem from the equation of your life. Break up with the person, start looking into paperwork to transfer schools if you feel unhappy at your current school, start looking at other jobs to apply to if you're unhappy at your current position. Like, there's usually always some clear step by step process that you can follow to get out of somewhere or some situation. Yes, it can be tedious, it can take time, but it's not an impossible endeavor. You don't have to look at it as walking uphill. The laws of nature are on your side. They're not working against you, they're working for you. And yeah, I just find this tiny change in perception to be so helpful in lifting that mental lock that a lot of us find ourselves clamped down by unwittingly.